Dynamo, can we switch? Oh, never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Don't do it. Don't listen to me.
I'm gonna switch now.
Oh, don't do it. No!
Good evening, everyone. This is your host, Jess, and welcome to the Yapperoni and Cheese of the Week. Now, I wouldn't have the thing called Deadlock Tuesday every Tuesday if I didn't absolutely love Deadlock at this current moment of time. What do you think my opinion is going to be about Deadlock? That I don't like it? No. Now, the only time I really don't like this game is when people start yelling over comms. But that is not always the case. Sometimes you get really funny guys. That's just the classic multiplayer goobity woobity wobbity. The real question is, why would you be interested in playing this? And looking at it from like an outside perspective, I hate the minions. I hate the jungle. I hate the minions that are in the jungle. Nah, I've already stated that. I will always hate minions. But that's more of a red herring to what I really want to discuss, which is Deadlock feels to me like a game that I have been wanting for a very long time, which I think is a really kind of silly thing to say. Though, I mean, you really don't know that you want something until you finally have it. I mean, when Valorant came out, I was uninterested in Valorant. Marvel Rivals came out, and I played it for a bit, but it wasn't really my thing. And then High Guard came out, and I was like, this is the greatest game since Low Guard, maybe even Mid Guard. Though I think I've really struggled to find that one multiplayer game that I would really play without my friends around. And for a time, it was Teamfight Tactics. It's always been Teamfight Tactics. I love Teamfight Tactics. What would I do without you, Teamfight Tactics? But I played too much of it, so now I just have to wait for the next set at this point. I've juiced Teamfight Tactics for all that it's worth. When I'm looking at a multiplayer game, I don't ever have a desire to really play it solo. For a time, that was actually, well, Paladins. I have over 3,000 hours in Paladins. And you might say, before you judge, I have less hours in the game than Fishnet Paladins. Ideally, you always want a match to go the best, but that doesn't always happen. Then again, that's another quirk of multiplayer. And there's also a degree of I already had insert amount of hours invested into it to where it's like, oh, the joy and happiness of being like, oh, I like this game too. Get me out of here. Yeah, that exists. For the time, though, I was like, oh, this is a really fun shooter, and I really love this. And then I was like, why is Overwatch $40? And then I did end up buying Overwatch. And I was like, oh, this is really fun. But no one I have is playing Overwatch right now. And I did pour a decent chunk into Overwatch, but I never got into that, oh man, I gotta get 1,000 hours into this game right now. But I never felt that call. And when Marvel Rivals came out, I felt it was in a very similar boat. Where it's like, okay, this is like a Paladins Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. When my friends didn't really play it, it was like, I didn't really play it that much. Then Valorant, bye-bye Valorant, bye-bye. And then there was a time where League of Legends, and you know, my friends were like, let's play League. And that went awful, because it's League of Legends. But when Valve got Deadlock leaked, and they're like, oh, you know, we might as well just dump it onto a couple of people. It was a League of Legends all over again. It's like, items, what does this mean in League of Legends? And once I played it for a little bit, ooh, the movement was slick. The gambling machines were plentiful. What I kind of thought was going to just be a MOBA where I'm like, oh, my friends are going to play this for a little bit. I found there was a lot to enjoy and a lot to get frustrated with. Well, I mean, it's a MOBA. Of course you're going to get angry with it. It's in the name, MOBA. And they still don't have it to where if you queue with your friends, you don't just immediately go into the same lane. Like, I'm going to be quite honest. That's really stupid. I'm going to be quite honest. Like, that's just dumb. That's just really dumb. And you have to let's just pause at the start of the game. So now you can go with your friends. Let's just let people play with their friends. You know, it's almost like it's a multiplayer game. And people might want to play the multiplayer games with their friends, you know? Yoshi from Mario really just said, I hate you and your friends. Zap beam and exploded you. The coolest thing from BioShock Infinite, the zipline, and now you don't get to ride it with any of your friends. They never existed, bye-bye. But I think when they were coming up with the idea of Deadlock, blending genres, you know, let's just do what Valorant did, where it's like, oh, here's hero shooter, and here's CSGO. Blimp, and you got Valorant. Not the most interesting concept in the world. You get MOBA, and you combine hero shooter, bloop, you get Deadlock. And if you're looking from the outskirts, that can seem like a very just uninteresting idea. And it's got all the annoying things, a bunch of CC stuns, all that mumbo jumbo. Minions, scaling, scratching head at item store, being, item store, which is a lot of just learning it as a MOBA. But I think all of the stages of Deadlock are actually planned out really well, except the stupid goddamn, oh yeah, you don't get to play with your friend, bye-bye. And when you're selecting a goober to actually play, it's kind of like a random selection. And I actually kind of like that. It keeps you on your toes. So if you're trying to play a popular character, well, yeah, you're not really going to run into them. But you're probably always going to get the character that's not popular. Though I think it encourages people to try more characters, but at the same time, you know, what if I'm like, I don't like that character? Well, you can figure out which ones you don't like and which ones you do like, and then suck it up. I'm sorry, that was mean. I've had the same thing where I got put on Lash one time, and I was awful. I made Lash look bad, and I feel horrible about it. Now time to actually look at the phases. So you have your laning phase. It's basically 2v2 in the lane for a little bit. And obviously, everyone wants to be like, I want to shoot the other person. Why would I want to shoot the minions? And you'd be like, well, because it's good for the tower, and, you know, we get to put pressure, blah, 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 blah. You know, that's stupid talk. That's thinking about the game too much, and that's the wrong answer. You have to keep in mind, video game players, they desire selfish reward. You have to put a cookie on the end of a stick with a string attached to it, and you gotta jangle it in front of people. And so what do people want to do in a MOBA? Well, they want to build items so they can beat up the other person as quickly as possible. The game almost incentivizes you to always be running around, even in the early phases of the game. There are boxes where you can get free souls, which is basically your gold in League of Legends. And then there's also these weird little yellow jar things that also give you permanent stat boosts. Now that should be an attention grabber. Free permanent stat boosts. Ooh, that made me actually drink a thing of water and sit up straight in my chair and stop slouching my back. Those are very nice selfish rewards, and if you're constantly looking around the map, you're able to get a bunch of these. But back to the laning phase. So, there are other ways to get ahead of your opponent besides just shooting stinking minions. And that's nice. I've mentioned this in another video where you can steal the minions from other people. I'm gonna be quite honest. It is a little bit of a means to an end. I'm not sitting here waiting, it's like, I'm going to steal the minion money from you. It is a nice detail, because you can punish people for just being like, oh, mindlessly shooting the minions, and then suddenly, oh, where did all my money go? And then the other person buys an item and goes, douche, 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 and beats you up. The game is incentivizing you to pay attention to your surroundings, because if you're not paying attention, and your opponent is, they get all of these nice boosts to their character while you're sitting there in the dirt like, I'm dying. And your opponent can easily get these boosts as well. So it's always a competition for all of these resources while you're trying to run around. A gambling machine pops up and you can get 4 permanent stat boosts to your character if you break it properly. And my golly gee, do I love the gambling machine. It is one of my favorite things. I love fighting for them. I love stealing them from other people. I love just having them. And there's a bunch of these around the map too. I love the incentive that you kind of don't just always have to sit in lane. While yes, you do have to clear minions, but you know, you clear a minion wave, you can go get your little treats, your little snacks, your little goodie bags. And there are ways to move around the map very easily. And I forgot to mention my favorite thing, heavy melees. I love heavy melees. I love parrying. Oh, this is... You think I wasn't going to talk about heavy melees and parries? These are my favorite things. They're always funny any part of the game, early, mid, or late game. It's funny to play around. It's funny to punch people. It's funny to parry people and then get punched and then punch someone and get parried. It's fun to try and bait out people's parries. Oh, it's just a... And it makes a ting! Pew! The noises tickle my brain in a way I really enjoy it. Adding melees to a game can always be a little bit wacky. This is one of the greatest amounts of wacky that I've seen in a while. But no matter what stage of the game you're at, The punch and the parry really don't change that much. There's a way to reduce the parry time, but the punch will always be the same. It's always like the same cadence. So it's something to really learn and then play around once you actually know it. And it's really funny to play around because as soon as you hear the charge up of the punch, you know, in the back of my mind, there's a very, very evil smile. And then I press the parry button, perfectly timed. And then I watch as they punch off to the side of me, realizing that they baited me with the punch to get out my parry. And then I stand there as I try to backpedal, and as they wind up another punch to punch me again. As soon as you like finish the punch, you can basically start punching again. The parry has a cooldown though, so you can't just always be like, oh, you're not allowed to punch people. And you also have a light melee, which is also parryable, which can lead to some really funny situations where you think if someone's trying to shoot you and then light melee you to basically secure a kill, and then you parry them and you're like, oh, that was out of the blue. The light melee is a lot more difficult to do because there's not really a sound that really telegraphs it. You kind of just have to think, are they going to light melee me? And sometimes people do. Sometimes someone will get in your face and just randomly light melee you. And it's a delightful system. You can also heavy melee the minions, and they deserve to be heavy meleeed because no one likes them. At this point, everyone's running around trying to steal resources from each other, secure resources on their side, not shoot the minions because no one likes shooting the minions. Now that it's not just the laning phase, people are playing in a lot of different ways. Maybe some people are hiding in your jungle. Maybe some people are playing in their jungle waiting for you to push up and jump you. Maybe they're about to shove 6 people down the mid lane and run you over with their cars. Maybe there's one person sitting mid lane and then suddenly 5 people show up out of nowhere and instantly murder you. Everyone is now trying to fight for the bigger objective, which is going to be the walker. And you have a limited number of item slots. You blow up the walker, boom. You know what you get? You get another item slot to get more scaling things for your stupid MOBA item set that someone posted yesterday. And this is where a lot of the actual team fights are going to start to happen. People are going to be spamming ultimates, and eventually someone's going to be like, I'm on top, therefore I am the wisest, I'm running it down and no one can stop me. It really is kind of just the more chaotic aspect of the game, where not everyone has scaled enough. Everyone's trying to get all the items they need from that one YouTube video they watched. People are going to try to jump you after maybe a small team fights happen, and then maybe your team's going to try to help jump them who's jumping you, or maybe not, they won't do that at all. And the good thing is there's always a lot of activities to do. There is an objective called the Soul Urn, and you know what happens if you put it into a hole in the side of the road? You get a bunch of stats. So it incentivizes you to basically douche the enemy team and then take the urn over. And then you can get stats and money. So the mid game essentially expands on the idea of running around trying to collect resources and trying to deal with objectives, but making it a lot larger scale now once your team is like, it is time to gank now. But say the mid game's not been going well. You should get stomped at this point, right? There's a very strong objective called the Rejuvenator. If they get it and one of them dies, they are like, I revive now. And it's a very powerful thing that they can get. And you're like, what do I do? What do I do here? At this point, we're at the end game. They're trying to win the game. They're trying to blow up our base with bombs. I don't do this a lot. I only do this sometimes. There are items that are meant to stop carry characters. Actually, even in mid-game and early game as well. There are curses that you can apply onto the enemy that are usually just point and click to debuff their character. And anyone can get these because they're in the item shop. And the curses get more powerful the higher money, blah, 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 blah. You kind of get the idea. But say someone's about to go in for an ult, you have been silenced. And you can use the silence curse on them. And they're just like, what? I was planning to ult. And then your entire team goes, douche, 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 douche. And then you know what happens with the Rejuvenator? Then they get revived. And they're like, I'm back. And then at this point, they're like, what do I do now? And then you go, douche, 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 douche. And you beat them up. I think the reason why you should consider playing Deadlock, there's a lot of fun stuff they've added into this MOBA team shooter combination, and it's pretty well thought out. Someone starts to get really crazy. There are ways to disable their character, so, they have to play a little bit smarter, or they buy a counter item in order to play around that. And so I think the active items are a really interesting idea to have added to the game. They add a new layer of planning and plotting into MOBAs that can just be so evil, because you can just get a point and click stun on any character and say someone is trying to run away. No, you get stunned now, bye bye, and then you just go and beat them up. I find the laning phases to be really fun. I love the counterplay with items. I don't think I will ever be the biggest fan of MOBA aspects like minions, jungle, things like that. They're just not that interesting to deal with. And I think characters that incentivize minions can be a little annoying. Oh wow, great, another NPC to shoot. Oh wow, wonderful, crazy. But these elements, I feel like, create a really unique experience that a team of devs who don't really need to worry about money at the moment could really make. Not a lot of companies do have that luxury, though. But you know, it's nice to enjoy it while you have it. And I'll enjoy it because you know what I don't have to do? I don't have to play Smite 2 by Hi-Rez Schmudios. Bye-bye, Smite. I don't have to ever play you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Smite. Bye-bye. Back to the dungeon where you belong.